Dr. Macro Detectors is the fastest growing manufacturer in the industry, and for good reason. Many detectorists, including Mike Hare, call us the most innovative, but we are so much more than that. We listen to and care about our customers. We also offer a wide range of detectors to fit all of your needs. Come check out all of our products today at www.noctadetectors.com. Detectors for everyone, everywhere, a lifetime.
Welcome to the UK's first metal detection podcast. It's All Metal Mode UK with your host from across the pond, Mr. Michael Hare.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike here, and you're listening to the All Metal Mode UK podcast. Unfortunately, tonight, Mr. Sadler will not be joining us. He is on vacation in Turkey. How cool is that? I believe he's going to be taking part in an archaeological dig. I am so jealous. Very cool. Hope you're having fun, Dave, if you're tuning in. Hope you're having a lot of fun, enjoying all that Turkey has to offer. So tonight, as you know, Mr. Chris, Addicted to Bleeps, is on, and you know him and I, we're going to talk about a little bit of everything, but we're going to focus on mental health and metal detecting, and I think it ought to be a blast. I think it's something that both of us can understand a little bit and talk about. Don't forget to check out archmdmag.com. On Facebook, you can follow us at All Metal Mode Podcast UK, Metal Detecting UK Dirt Fishing, Archaeology and Metal Detecting Magazine, Archaeology and Metal Detecting Group. There we have it. Don't forget, you can catch us live on Spreaker. You can listen to us after the show. You can download off of Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And then there's other affiliates of iTunes and stuff that I'm not familiar with. You can find us all over. Tell your friends, family, grandma, anybody that'll listen. We're down. Anybody that'll get a kick out of us. We appreciate it. ArchMD Mag is looking for articles right now for their printed magazine. Awesome opportunity to be published. It doesn't have to be a hoard or a gold coin. It can be quirky, fun, informative, whatever. Get a hold of Luke Higgins or Mr. Dave Sadler. Ooh, I'm not sure. I should have talked to Luke and asked him where he'd want people to reach him, but I'm sure he'll be in chat later, and we will talk to him and ask him. But yeah, great opportunity to get yourself published, and they're great guys. If you're tuning in and you're new and you want to jump into chat, look for the rectangle bar. It's usually at the bottom, depending on what kind of device you're on. It'll have your pause and play button and all that. Look for a little square or round, depending on what kind of device you're on. Little chat bubble. It's just a white little box. It's either circular or squarish with rounded corners and looks like a little cloud or, chat bubble. Jump in there, ask questions. You can talk with us live. We've always got people in here talking, so join us. Next week's show, we've got Leisure Promotions and Meet the Team. That's going to be a lot of fun. But tonight, again, we've got Addicted to Bleeps back on. And Chris, how you doing?
Yeah, hello, mate. So it's like you got Dave's not here, so you got second best.
Oh, I'm second. Yeah, I'm definitely second best, without a doubt.
No,
Dave's got a voice for a voice, and he's got the quick wit. Yeah, I'm second best to him. I'll accept that.
No. Anyway, listen.
I know what you were saying. But I had to give you a hard time.
He just did a thing on my Addicted to Bleeps Facebook page, but he's just messaged, about to go to a sleep in Turkey, or a sleep in Turkey. They're only an hour behind us, or in front of us, whatever it is. It's 9 o'clock. Good Lord, man. I'm about to go to sleep in Turkey, or I would listen live, no excuse. But you know my support to subjects, I will listen by the pool. Don't miss me too much, Mike. That's on my Addicted. You guys can have your own conversation. Like, just what's going on now? Everything's gone. So, just to explain that, just in case my internet does kick out, it's because it's been the hottest day of ever, apparently, here in Britain. And it's 40 degrees, and there's a massive storm we've got over us at the moment. So it might kick my internet out. So you're going to have to sing and dance for a little bit, I think, Mike, if that does manifest.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll make it work. So, hey, before we get started, tell me what happened to your arm.
Yeah, so just a quick hello to the Divi Detectorist, Stephen Petcan, Scott Dubai, Aaron from South Coast Detect. They're all in the chat. Hi guys. Hello, Luke. So this is something that people should be kind of conscious of, I think, on Metal Detectorists, because I guess as well as we begin to get slightly older, I think that it's one of those things where we was having a discussion before this started, Mike, about just kind of listening to your body and taking care of yourself a little bit. So what happened is that I just had a bloody good signal, basically, and it was down in chalk and flint, because where I live is just all chalk and flint. I'm on the cliffs, you see, and it's just, there was a target down there, and I was just, I've got to get through that. So I was just hammering this chalk and flint, basically, just trying to get through it, because I knew it was going to be about 5 or 6 inches beneath where I was digging. So in that instance, the only option you have down these parts is just to work through it, which I did. So you got a metal spade smacking against flint and chalk, and it was all right. I've done it loads of times, I've done it hundreds of times, and you just dig and dig, and you're consistent. I did this one particular smack, and I just felt this electricity shoot up my arm. It's the only way I could kind of like describe it, and I was like, "Whoa, that's not cool, man. Oh, that really, really hurt." And I thought, I'll be right. So I carried on. And I carried on, and I got it. It was a bit of a 303 shell. Next few days, it was hurting, and it sucked, and it was getting, it was like, ow, whenever I twisted it. And I'm a musician, you see, I'm a bass player.
Oh yeah.
And I had a gig coming up, and I play slap and pop, right? So what I was finding was when I was slapping the bass, I was getting that electricity feeling again, and was getting about halfway through band practice, and I couldn't continue or carry on, so I couldn't do the gig. Anyway, it kind of got worse and worse, and I thought, over here we have things called walk-in centres. So you have a hospital, you have a doctor's, and you have a walk-in centre.
Okay.
So I thought, I'll just walk into the walk-in centre, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you've sprained your wrists, you've sprained it," and I was like, "Okay, that's easy, I can just rest it up." And then he just started like inspecting my wrist, and he was like, "What is this? What is this?" And I was like, "What?" And I could feel bits of bone crunching about in my hand.
No.
Yeah. And he was like, "No, that's not a sprain." He said, "We're going to take you to an X-ray." So I went to an X-ray, and basically there's bits of bone hanging about, just smashed off of the wrist from where I was hitting it so hard against that chalk and flint. So now I'm just waiting to be referred to a what are they called, man? Wrist doctor. I don't know what they're called. Something attrition. So anyway, that's what happened. Yeah, and so I've got to rest it up. And I tried to go out day before yesterday, and I lasted about 20 minutes before it started hurting again.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Sand is fine, by the way. So I can do beach digs and things, because there's no, you're not hitting it against anything. Right. Luke has given me an alternative with this alternative spade thing that I've yet to try. and a shoulder strap that goes with it. But yeah, it's just like, just got to take care of yourself, you know. I think that wouldn't have happened to me 10 years ago. I don't think. It's just wear and tear, I guess, and you just got to be a little bit more kind of frugal and a bit strategic with how you go about doing things, especially when you're digging into hard rock.
I don't know about you, Chris, but I find myself still going at stuff like I'm 20 years old. Unfortunately, my body disagrees with me quite often, and I'm, you know, I don't know if it's just my age or what, but I find myself like getting smarter, with it. You know, like, okay, I can't just go slam this shovel in the ground and kick it with my foot and pry that. Yeah. You know, I got to take a little more time. And, you know, I think you have enough injuries and stuff and you start getting pains and aches. You're like, it's time to start being a little easier on my body. I know metal detectors, the E-Track, oh my goodness, years ago that thing wrecked my shoulder. It still pops and cracks. It feels good now, though. I had a detector that really took a toll on my elbow. I thought I was going to have surgery, and then it went away after a few months. I had to quit detecting for a few months. And I hate hospitals and doctors, and I was really hoping I could stay out. And finally I told I was telling my mom, and I were talking about, 'cause she knew I was in so much pain, and I said, I'm going to make an appointment Monday, and just even if I have to have surgery, it's just got to be done. I'm in too much pain. And it just went away. After months, it went away, and I haven't had a bit of trouble anymore out of it, even swinging detector a lot. It was that specific detector, and I think what I had was what they call like tennis elbow. It went away. And so fortunately, but yeah, we have to be careful because it's our age is catching up with us, even if we don't realize it.
Kind of lucky. It's kind of a blessing as well, because if you think about it, like we have like the psychological age of 20-year-olds, but we have the bodies of 40-year-olds. That's really good. Otherwise, we'd have loads of babies.
Right. Well, I'm 43 with a year and a half, a baby that's a year and a half old. So
yeah, so you're still at it.
Yeah. So somebody should have told me about all that.
I think it's an evolutionary thing. I think it's like just slowly kill them so they can't have any more babies, you know?
Yeah. I make the joke that, people are like, oh, why'd you have a son at your age? And, they're everybody's nice and respectful about it, but they're wondering why I'm an old man having a baby. And I was like, well, it wasn't my plan. Steph came home with new lingerie and a 12-pack of beer, and the next thing I know, but actually,
20-year-old kicks in.
Yeah, the funny part is, her and I talked about having a baby, and we wanted a baby. She's got 2. I love my stepkids, and she wanted a third, and it would be my first. And we tried for a long time, and one day, her and I were out alone, and we were driving, and she said,
is this a PC show?
Yeah, no, this is clean. And she said, do you really want a kid? Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah. And she said, do you really? Yeah, we'll get to it real quick. She said, do you really want another kid, or do you really want a kid? And I'm like, I love my stepkids. We don't need to. I'm too old. She's like, Peyton's 10, we don't, she's like, let's not do it. And then she got pregnant. So that's how that went. So if you don't want a baby, decide, or if you want to, if you don't want a baby, talk about it and you'll end up having a baby, evidently. But real quick, before we're going to get into this real quick, I'm just blabbing on, but I do want to apologize for last week. I'm fine. I'm healing. I'm good. But I was in the hospital last Thursday. That's why we missed the show. I apologize to everybody. Again, I'm doing great. Everything's good. Pete, let's get at it. Or Pete, I just seen Pete's name in here. Chris, let's get at it. I'm sorry. I've been talking like crazy. Let's start with you. You did a video on mental health and metal detecting.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Yes. Yeah. Where I did. Yes. So sorry, man. I'm like freaking out because there's like massive, huge nuclear thunder claps. Can you not hear them over the microphone?
I don't know. I'm not hearing them.
Man, good Lord, that is awesome. Sorry, I digress. I did do a video, a very serious video about mental health and metal detecting, old chap.
Good. Something you wanted to say, make sure we said, and I agree, and I kind of forgot. Look, if you're having issues, PTSD, anxiety, panic attacks, seek help. Listen to this and maybe we can help you, but seek help, seek professional help. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. At one time I was seeing a psychologist and a psychiatrist at the same time. Although I will say for me personally, it helped me very little other than to kind of understand what was going on. And, I did learn actually the psychologist was much greater help than the psychiatrist. The psychologist taught me my triggers. I have trouble in loud situations where there's a lot of noise coming from different directions, whether it's, out at a restaurant, a loud restaurant, my kids, sometimes I got to just, when all three of them are going, sometimes I got to step out of situations because my anxiety gets up. But I think tonight might be helpful for some.
Well, I'm not entirely sure about tonight. I think that if they were to pick up a metal detector, or were thinking about picking up a metal detector, and were to go and use that, then I think that would probably, that would definitely help. It's, I did that video. You knew about that video, Mike, and you knew that I was planning it, and we spoke about it, didn't we? We there goes that thunder again. We just went over it.
I hear that. That sounds rough.
That is rough, man. There's like hailstones the size of my house is actually shaking. That is awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, this is the way I want to go out, man. I want to do. If this is the apocalypse, I want to go out talking to you, Mike.
That's anyway, awesome. But we don't want you to go out. We want you to keep going.
So I researched that video because I wanted to get the information right, and I didn't want to mess it up in any way, shape, or form. But the most interesting thing about that is the video is everybody I've spoken to since that have just gone, it's not because I've been speaking to metal detectorists. They already know why it's good for their mindset. All metal detectorists know that it's good for their psychology. Anybody that has PTSD and is a metal detectorist knows how beneficial metal detecting it is. So I'm preaching to the converted in that sense. It's the people that do have problems that are looking for instead of I don't want to go into things too much, but an alternative could be metal detecting, which may help people. So it's great that we're having this discussion because there'll be metal detectorists out there going, I know what it does for me psychologically, so I don't need to hear it. But it could be a opportunity for them to share that with somebody else who's going through a hard time, where and instead of going like, hey, here's like loads of pills or whatever, go, you ever thought about taking up metal detecting? Give it a go. It might help, because it certainly helps a hell of a lot of us, and it really does. I mean, the evidence is there in front of you, and it's really just interesting to be having this discussion as well. It's fascinating. It's
I would say what I would say to somebody tuning in, if we can help one person tonight, I would be so happy. At my worst, I was in the hospital 5 times in 2 months. I wasn't leaving the house. I wasn't sleeping. I had to drag myself out metal detecting. And what I found, although I had to drag myself out, I felt so much better. And, I think that there are other hobbies, other things people can do with their time. But what I found, putting on those headphones and listening for those tones, and you have to be so concentrated on your detector and the tones, you have no choice but to leave everything else out of your mind. And I think a lot of other hobbies and a lot of other things you can do, that doesn't necessarily happen. And that's what makes it so good. You get out into the middle of a field where there's nobody around you. You're just concentrating on your tones and what your detector's telling you, and I'm telling you, it'll help you.
It's interesting because over here in Britain, and I think in America, it actually comes from like the Buddhists in the East. And then there's a guy called John Kabat-Zinn. He's an American, and this other guy, I can't remember his name, is Herbert Benson. He started a thing called the Relaxation Revolution. And basically, in the 60s and 70s, it was these guys, these crazy cats, that brought Buddhism over into the West and started figuring that, hey, this is really beneficial to people. So looked at it from a scientific viewpoint. And the studies have been going on for like 30, 40 years, where now there's five papers coming out a day in Harvard, for example, which are just the studies into mindfulness and meditation, and something else called CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Anyway. And all three of those things are now, they're now saying that the NHS, which is what we have over here in Britain, will go to them before they prescribe you antidepressants. Now, the focus of all three of those things is that there is a focus. Okay, so in meditation, you focus on the breath, right? Mindfulness, you focus on what you are doing in that particular moment. And CBT, you focus on you any other particular thing which is going on around you. It's like mindfulness, basically. Mm-hmm. And they know that you have 50% reduction in anxiety and stress if you do this. So all of this information and all of this science, which has been studied for all these years, what you said there in metal detecting is that our focus, you cannot be focused on too many things at once in your psychology. So if you are anxious, you are just focused on the anxiety. If you're depressed, you're just focused on the depression. In metal detecting, if you're focusing on the tones, a portion of your psychology, a portion of your concentration is on the tones, therefore away from the things which are bothering you, like anxiety. So it's you hit the nail on the head there. But there's a ton of science behind that comment that you just made, and it's fascinating. I find I want to go find these people that are doing all these tests and stick those doodly whatsits on my noggin and like go out there into the field and see what's going on in the brain when you're metal detecting, man.
Right. That would be brilliant.
God, yeah. They have these portable MRIs, don't they? And you can go out and you can see, because they can see what's going on in the brain of meditators and people that are doing mindfulness. See what's going on in the brain of someone that's doing metal detecting. I bet you, I would put money on it, that it's exactly the same which is going on in the brain of people who are studying mindfulness and meditation.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would love for you to do something like that. I you could probably help psychologists and psychiatrists, and because you're right. It does. I knew this from my own experience, but you're talking about.
It's actually
proven, and you've got the science to back it up, and that is really incredible. But it does. It's medicinal, very, very much for me. Like right now, I told you I'm having some leg issues. I can't be getting down on that leg. It hurts too much. But I've started walking anyhow, and just walking, I plug in my headphones, and lately I've been listening to music, but also listen to podcasts, and that takes my focus away from. You're right. It takes your focus away from that, and exercise is another great thing. And you get that from metal detecting, and I just don't know anything else that's going to put your focus off like that.
It's an all-rounder, man, because you've got the number one, the focus on the tones, and then you've got number two, the exercise, which we know is also scientifically proven with endorphins and what that does to the brain. So that alleviates anxiety and depression. And then you have all these other factors that I mentioned in the video as well, these environmental factors, which are also being studied at the moment. It's great because all those people that were saying to us years ago, metal detector, I go out because it sorts my head out. It's so cool that it's actually, there's science behind why it's making us feel the way we do and how important that is as well, Mm-hmm. It's cool.
I'm sorry, I was looking, Luke's talking about we have a scientific study carried out on soldiers with PTSD in metal detecting that was done with the Detecting for Veterans group, ready to publish for Detect-Vol magazine. That is awesome. Yeah.
Hey, that's cool, isn't it? Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
We're kind of like pushing a new frontier here. It's really, really quite fascinating. And as I said, like the people that I've spoken to since I did that video have just gone like, yeah, man, you hit the nail on the head with that one. And it's not me. It's not none of this information is something that I've pulled out of the air. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows how good metal detecting makes them feel. I'm not saying anything which is fresh or new. It's just I decided to make a video about it and research it a little bit more. And it's really nice to see those people validated as well. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, like as we're sitting here talking, my mind's kind of wandering. Like I feel like maybe there's more we could do to help people with PTSD and anxiety and stuff get into metal detecting or help them, or I don't know. I have no clue. I would like to get more involved in this though. I
think with post-traumatic stress disorder, I think that the people that go through that are very aware of how bad they feel, and probably do go down roads of medication and seeking help, or they don't. Let's hope that they do. I think that if you were kind of like researching stuff to maybe calm you, or maybe something which is going to take your attention away from somewhere else, a lot of people are naturally going, oh, metal detecting. Never been interested in metal detecting my whole life, but as someone that has PTSD, oh, maybe I'll try that. And it's interesting how many people are coming from a place of PTSD, typically ex-soldiers, that are just for some reason thinking metal detecting, wow, that could tick all of the boxes. And then they research it, and then they do it, and they're like, yep, this has been great for me. It's really good. It's not going to cure anything. It's important we say that. You're not going to get rid of your anxiety. Anxiety is there for a reason. It's to stop us from being killed. Basically, the brain the amygdala is there, and cortisol and adrenaline are pumped in our bodies so we can stay safe from primal things like lions and stuff. You're not going to get rid of that, but you can, I feel, learn to manage it. And metal detector just seems to put it all away as well. Because the environments that we're in, that's something else which is really important.
Metal detecting probably kept me from doing really bad things. My anxiety had gotten so out of control. It helped me considerably. And I would highly suggest it. Hey, Pete, real quick, kind of off topic here. Pete wants to know if you're going to Detect-Vol again this year.
Detect-Vol? Yeah, a lot of people have asked me that. I don't know. I don't know. Is it in the same place? I'd like to go down. I'd like to just see everybody basically again. I think the best thing about I'm not really interested in the products. I'm not really interested in the brands, to be honest with you. I'm not really that interested in doing any metal detecting. What I enjoyed is meeting everybody, meeting Dawn and Nugget Noggin and hanging out with Lucas and seeing Harry and meeting Pete. I didn't spend enough time around Pete. I'd like to have chat with him a lot more. He seems like a really nice guy. And just everybody else that was around, that was nice. That's what I'd go down there again. So a short answer, sorry, Mike, I haven't made my mind up yet, but I'd like to, yeah, definitely. I'm still having car problems and all, so pray.
Oh, are you really?
Oh man, I've gone through 3 cars in 4 months, all head gaskets now.
Oh no,
dude, it sucked. It's been so bad. But anyway, going back to anxiety, what people, I got a few negative comments on that video.
Really?
Yeah, just I mean, 99.9% of it is really positive, but it was one that there's a couple of comments that were just like, you shouldn't speak about this stuff. It's private and it's people's personal kind of experience shouldn't be spoken about, which I thought was ridiculous. Like, we should be speaking about this stuff. It's very important we speak about this stuff.
Right.
The second comment was from a YouTuber metal detectorist. I won't name his name, And yeah, I suffer from anxiety myself, right, and depression. I've had a pretty damn tough life. I don't talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I've had some bad things happen, right? And I have anxiety. I had anxiety to the point where I'd throw up if I thought I had to leave the house, right?
Right.
And metal detecting helped me massively. I have had panic attacks. I've had everything. And I think that because people see me, who I am on Addicted to Bleeps, and they see me as this like confident, happy-go-lucky dude, they think, you haven't got any anxiety. What the hell are you talking about anxiety for? So this one guy was just like, what I don't like is people that pretend that who are this kind of like new, oh, everybody's got anxiety thing. It's like it's a trendy thing to have anxiety. And I thought that comment was really quite cruel because, and I think the perfect example of that is probably Robin Williams, isn't it? You know, He's like just this lovely, happy dude, and we know what happened to him.
Who could have seen that coming?
Who could have seen that coming? And I think that was I think that's a very naive and dangerous viewpoint about PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I think it's very dangerous if we start saying, "You sure you've got anxiety?" You know, it's like, wow, man, you can't do that. So that was the other negative comment. We kind of like talked it out, and but I just thought that's strange because he suffers from anxiety and depression, and it was almost like he was saying, my anxiety and depression is worse than your anxiety and depression, therefore your anxiety and depression is irrelevant. And I just thought that was dangerous. Apart from that, everything was stupidly positive.
Mm-hmm. I don't hate me for this, Chris, but before I had anxiety and stuff, when somebody would bring it up, I was always nice about it. But in my head, I just thought, suck it up. And I felt the same way. I felt like it's almost a fad for people to say, "Oh, I'm having anxiety. I had a panic attack." And now, now this really, I've been able to keep it under control and just turn it around. But when, we're talking 10 years ago when it was at its worst, I didn't believe I had anxiety. I went to so many doctors and specialists. I was too tough for that. I was too strong for that, Chris. And I know now that was so stupid of me, but I to this day, I think back of how I judged people who said, "Oh, I had a panic attack or anxiety attack, or I have anxiety," and I just, I feel so horrible for how I thought of those people. That isn't fair. You're right. We don't know your life and John's life and that. Don't be quick to judge.
It's hard to kind of understand anxiety and depression unless you've gone through it.
Very hard.
It's impossible. In fact, it's not hard. It's impossible to understand it. And it always comes back. I studied Tai Chi, 3 forms of Tai Chi and Qigong and Wushu Kung Fu and all sorts when I was younger. And I always loved the kind of like Chinese philosophy on things. And in the instance of if you toughen yourself, this is the problem with soldiers and PTSD. If you toughen yourself and say that I'm strong and I'm going to get through this, and you resist it, then it becomes more potent and powerful. And the Chinese say that, if you kind of like relinquish and let go like a blade of grass and the wind is blowing, then you'll just flow with the wind. And the hard things and the things that try and stand up and fight against the wind, like a twig or a branch, will snap. And it's absolutely that philosophy. The more you try and fight anxiety and depression, the bigger it gets. It's not about fighting it. It's about taking your focus to another place and trying to kind of extinguish it that way. But the more power you give it, the more potent that particular monster comes. That's again another great thing about metal detecting, because you can't be considering that conscious about something when your focus is in that environment and doing that particular thing. That makes sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's. I would say don't. If you've never had it, if you've never dealt with it, be easy on people. You have no clue. I told Chris I thought I was at the when it was bad. I thought I was going to die. I was just waiting to die. I didn't leave the house. I would go days without sleeping, and it can be really overwhelming. I would guess I had a form of or PTSD. Now, what's weird, it didn't start for a couple years, probably a year and a half after I found my father dead. And I know that messed with me really bad.
Of course.
But at the time, I didn't realize how bad. I used to wake up in cold sweats and nightmares and dream he was still alive and have these really weird dreams and stuff. I'd wake up and my jaws hurt from grinding my teeth, and I knew I was having nightmares or dreams about all that. So I think what I would guess, I know very little about labels and everything else. I would say it started off with PTSD. I didn't handle it correctly. I didn't accept it. It grew into this really bad form of anxiety and panic attacks for me. And, and I will say, psychiatrist had me on 3 different medications. I was like in a bubble for roughly almost a year. My family, now I hate taking drugs, but I was so bad I would have done anything. And my family, said, "Hey, you're still having trouble, and you're not even yourself." I got off the drugs, and that's really when I turned to metal detecting, and that really changed everything for me. And it doesn't have to be metal detecting. I'm sure that there's other ways. Metal detecting worked for me like nothing else would. I couldn't stop my mind from concentrating on the anxiety and panic attacks. Metal detecting allowed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's metal detecting is interesting because it has like these particular factors which can only be found in metal detecting, and all of those factors are beneficial for you psychologically. So it is actually a complete one-off. The only thing that I found that comes close to it is fishing, but you tend to be quite static with fishing. I know that there's like fly fishing, which certain types of fly fishing which can be quite aggressive, but you're not walking, walking mile after mile after mile. But it certainly has other similar aspects like environment, being in nice environments, fresh air, and the concentration as well. You could argue because actually the concentration in fishing might even be a little bit more because you're really focused on seeing if you've got a bite. So fishing was the closest, and you'll find that people with PTSD they do navigate towards fishing as well. Excuse me. And it's those 2 particular hobbies that people really find are. I mean, others would say running and cycling, anything that's going to get your endorphins up. But metal detecting has so much more to it.
Yes, I agree. Even I grew up fishing, and it's not the same. It's not for me. It's not the same as metal. I think metal detecting gives it all to you.
Yeah,
you can fish and not be catching anything and still be concentrated on your anxiety.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's right. And I think the most interesting thing for me doing that research was Pavlov's dog. You know about the ringing of the bell?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Please tell us more.
Yeah, sure. So basically, there was a guy. I don't know if he was a philosopher or scientist. I can't remember. But he comes to the conclusion, Pavlov, that he set up experiments and he would get dogs to salivate by ringing the bell. So he would present them their dinner. He would ring a bell, present them their dinner, and after a while, he realised that eventually the dogs would salivate every time he rang the bell without giving him the dinner. And then scientists took this further and they did lots and lots of research into it. And there's parts of our brains where are kind of hardwired for if we have an experience, then we will feel something. So if we hear the ringing of a bell metaphorically, then that will have an effect on us. So, and it's a positive effect. You drop dopamine into your system and endorphins, and it feels good. So you can actually begin to. I can't remember Darren Brown did a study into this as well. It's fascinating. I'd have to share it with you, Mike. But basically, the ringing of the bell, metaphorically, in our instance, is that every time our detector rings, the bell rings, and we dig down and we find something, right? Every time we find something which is nice, subconsciously we associate the ringing of the bell with a object which is nice. If you do this enough times, you begin to like reform the neurology in the neurological process in your brain. So you begin to doing that pattern programs yourself. So eventually, every time that the bell rings, you expect there to be a nice signal beneath it. You get a drop of dopamine. So you literally make yourself feel happy every time the bell rings. It's fascinating. Yeah, that's one of the other factors as well. So every time we're walking along and we get really good tight signal. You know the ones. You know the types. Oh, that is a beauty. You get a drop of even before you've dug the target. You get a feel good hit. It's your body's natural defense. Your body's natural antidepressant. You get a drop of this stuff. It's dopamine, and it's the feel good. One of the feel good elements in the system. So it's that's just another one of the things which makes you, which is beneficial for you about metal detecting. I never
thought about that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, as you're sitting here talking about it, I'm thinking about, every time, when you're with that detector that, in and out and you get that certain tone, you just get that smile. Mm-hmm. You can't help it. You get that smile on your face and and wow, I never thought about that.
So if you tie that with all of the other factors, the concentration, the exercise, the being in a specific environment, it's just an all-rounder, It really, really is. And environment as well. That's another thing which is just absolutely fascinating, the science into that. Like, they take these massive groups of thousands of people and they stick them in cities and they measure their heart rates and their blood pressure and they do MRIs on them, and then they do the exact same thing. They stick people out in fields, and the difference between the people who are from different social backgrounds, similar social backgrounds and cultural backgrounds, but the difference between being in a natural environment to a modern fabricated environment is massive for our psychology as well. And just breathing in fresh air, being outside is also really beneficial. There's so many factors to it. And it's probably stuff that I've missed as well.
And have you ever been out metal detecting and not have really find anything good, or it's not a real good day, but you're happy? And I find in those days I'm more in tune at looking at the clouds and the trees and the skies, and I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
It does something good for you.
I did a whole video on this. It's called Why I Love Metal Detecting, and it's not. This is why you get the turnaround in this hobby is quite a lot, because people come into it thinking that they're going to be rich, or they're going to find something brilliant, or they're going to do really well, and then they give up because their psychology is all wrong. And it's if they could adjust that psychology and say, hey, do you know what? I'm exercising. I'm in fresh air. I'm not in an office. I'm enjoying myself. I'm in a lovely environment. If you can adjust your psychology, then you win. Effectively, even if you don't find anything, it's not a day wasted, because you've done something which is really good for you, and it is good for you. It's good for your mind and it's good for your body. And I did a whole video on it. Also, it's a great place. It's great for me because my imagination, if I can get it into that kind of like, I think that after a while, when you're detecting and you've kind of gone through the motions of concentration, then your mind does naturally begin to start to wander. It doesn't go to an anxious or depressive place. For me, it goes to a creative place. So I've been writing books about metal detecting, and I've written a whole fantasy novel about metal detecting.
Brilliant.
Which still can't get published. It's been sitting there for years now. I just don't know how to go about getting something published. And I just love being in it over here. You're walking a path, and you know that thousands of people through over thousands of years have walked that path, and you just think, man, that is just absolutely crazy. A Roman would have walked along here, you know. A Viking would have walked along. You know, someone from World War II would have walked along here. You know, someone from a Celt would have walked along here. An Anglo-Saxon. You just think, man, that's just crazy. And then you start thinking, wow, you know, what were they doing that day? Were they concerned about ghosts? Were they concerned about dragons, witches? Because these were very real things for these people in their lives.
Right.
We can look back and laugh now, go, witches, ghosts, dragons. What are you talking about? Grow up. But to these people, this stuff existed, you know,
Right.
and curses. You know, the crop is bad. What am I going to do about this curse? I'm going to have to go sacrifice my newborn. It's like, man, what was he thinking?
You know, you bring up a good point. Does it ever give you anxiety or affect your mental health, mental detect? Here's what I'm getting at. You know, it does great things for me. Don't get me wrong. But I've been at, like, you know, I was at a site that was in the middle of a field. It was a doctor's house in the early 1800s. And I'm finding buttons, and then on top of the ground, you know, we're finding coins and all these things they would have used in their daily life. And we find some little doll heads and stuff like that. And I think, you know, the debris field was huge. So this was a big house. And then, you know, my mind wanders to, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't call it depression, but it's like, wow, these, you know, this is all gone. Their legacy is gone. Everything's gone. You know, there were kids here. They're all dead.
Oh, man.
I have to watch sometimes because my mind will sometimes will cause me, I wouldn't say anxiety. I mean, if it is, it's very mild. But, you know, sometimes I get such a picture of what their life was. It can cause me a little bit of, it makes me think of how mortal we are, how
finite,
how quick it comes and goes, how little we're here, you know.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and it hadn't ever come up on my radar before. I know it probably bloody will, so thanks for that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm only joking. I don't know. I don't think that one will ever bother me because I've got a firm belief in the afterlife. You see.
Okay. You know, and what usually works for me is, I think, you know, here's all these little, you know, like in that instance, I found myself getting a little down, and then it's like, you know, look at all these dolls, and this kid was running out here in the grass and just having a blast and playing with their dolls, and, you know, what a good life. But, you know, so I do have to watch, because metal detecting itself can sometimes, I feel like I get too much of a picture of what their life was like and how it's now gone. So
that's interesting, man. I guess the difference is why it doesn't really kind of like come on my radar. I think it's probably because a historical context concerning time frame, I think. So if I'm digging some Roman dude's shoe, it's like that was 2,000 years ago. So my tiny little stupid brain can't even comprehend that was a person which did this and that. You just think it's like an alien almost, you know? It's like person, man, I don't even know what they were. Wow. Whereas your history in America is still kind of so fresh that it's that person that you dug that stuff up, it possibly could even still be alive for you know, and it's literally like 200, 300 years so you can kind of connect yourself to it a lot more because it's been so recent. Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. I get that. I think if I was detecting on, finding something lost 2,000 years ago, it probably wouldn't affect me like finding something that was lost 150 years ago.
I think so. That's a difference. But also, I think that we're wired completely different. Your imagination does different things that my
Right.
imagination. And we all have different triggers in life, and we're all completely unique. And your triggers, obviously, that you are thinking about that particular thing, and that's what's making you feel quite emotional. It's just, we've all got completely different triggers, I think.
Kimberly brought up a good question, or not
Hello,
a question. She brought up a good, where I struggle with the anxiety the most now. I have it under control. My trouble is sleeping. It seems like my anxiety kicks in at night sleeping, and I still have sometimes sleepless nights. I have trouble going to sleep. Different things. Do you struggle with that, or have you?
I am the polar opposite in respect of I will have periods where I cannot sleep because my heart is pounding so damn fast. That's anxiety, and then but typically I'll sleep too much. I need 10 hours sleep to be able to function, to be able to, and that could lean on depression. But sleep has never really been. If I don't get my sleep, then I am just. I can function. You don't give me food, don't give me water, don't care, right? But sleep deprivation is one thing that I cannot deal with. I do not do very well with it. I love to sleep. It's the only bloody time to get away from being a human.
Yeah, I struggle with. I often wake up in foul moods, and although I don't always remember them, I know I have nightmares and stuff. Still, I still struggle with nightmares, and sometimes I do wake up with them. There's mornings I wake up and it's like I don't even feel like I slept, and then it's like, oh, that's right. Like sometimes I feel like I work in my sleep. Or my mind's working so much, and that's where my biggest issue lies. Now, during the day, I can control it. When I feel my anxiety rising and stuff, I know how to deal with it before it gets anywhere close to out of control, and I can deal with it. But it's sleeping and going to sleep sometimes is where I really struggle.
What's your operation an hour preceding sleep?
We are usually relaxing, watching TV, getting the baby to sleep, kind of thing. Yep.
So, are you on your phone at all?
No, usually we're just watching TV quietly.
Okay. So, do you read before you go to sleep?
No, not most nights. No.
You should try. You should try reading. I thought it was a load of old tosh. My wife, she reads. She just consumes books, but she consumes them because they put her to sleep. And I was like, oh, that's not going to help with me. And then I started kind of like getting into testing it myself a little bit, and it's just the kind of like focus, reading, going left to right, slowly left to right.
Chris, I got to do something here. Guys, can we take a 5-minute break? Dave isn't on to take over. I'm by myself. Can we do 5 minutes?
Yeah, no worries, man.
Okay, everybody hang in, take a break, get something, get a snack, get something to drink. We will be back in a few minutes. We'll be back. I am back. I apologize for that, everybody. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Addicted to Bleep says, I think he's gone for a poo. I won't go into detail. I will just say the antibiotics I am on do not agree with my stomach, and we almost had a bad emergency situation. Luckily, it was avoided. Boy, that's embarrassing. Thanks for calling me out, though, Chris. I appreciate that. Yeah, boy.
Oh man, I was like, do we have these things called baby wipes over here?
Yeah, we've got them here.
Yeah, those things are a godsend when you're metal detecting in the woods.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen,
Oh, my God.
If you need to go for another poo...
No, I think I'm good. All of a sudden, I broke out into a cold sweat, and it's like, okay, I don't have a choice here. I don't want to...
Yeah. Did you do a risky fart?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Oh, man. Did you do a risky fart? Did you try and let a little bit of air out there?
Yeah, and it was very risky. It was high risk. It told me to go to the bathroom immediately.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad that happened while I was on. Hey, look, listen. Next time it happens, just leave me on. Don't worry about it. I'm professional, right? I'll just speak to all of these guys. They can ask me questions in the chat, and I can ask. Yeah, you relax.
Yeah, man. That would be great. Hopefully that's it. Hopefully we're all over it, and it's all good now. Jeez, how embarrassing is that? Okay, guys, hold on. I gotta go poo.
Was it like turning on a tap?
Oh, it was. It was a very quick. You're done.
Yeah, I've been there before, mate. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. It was.
These didn't happen to you on a plane,
right?
When they stick those damn seat belts on you, and it says you can't go anywhere, and you're like, I'm in trouble, man. I seriously need to get the hell out of here, like now. I'm serious.
Right.
And yeah, it's all right. I'm not saying that I've ever crapped myself on a plane, but I've been close.
Right. And like anxiety really messes with your bowels.
Yeah. Yeah. God, that's it.
Yeah. I don't want to get too graphic here, but it is on the subject. I rarely have gas. Okay, rarely. I just don't. But I get
the best all metal mode ever.
Right. But get me out in public with a lot of noises and anxiety peaks up, and I sound like a tuba player. I don't know what it is. If I'm comfortable and no anxiety, I don't have gas, and I hate it. I'm a guy. I want to pass gas. I want a good Dutch oven stuff. I want to have my little girl pull my finger. I'm a guy, but I don't ever have gas until I get out in public and get in a bad situation, and then everybody thinks I'm a pig.
Let me tell you what's going on in your body, right? Mm-hmm. And I know this because have you ever heard of Crohn's disease?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got that.
Oh, no.
That's one bad thing I've been dealing with him like since I was younger. Anyway, so what's going on with you, right, is when you get anxious, your blood rate goes up, right? So your heart rate goes up. When your heart rate goes up, it pumps more blood around your body, and it pumps more adrenaline around your body, right? So what happens then is your body's going, hold on a second here. We need to start thinking about what we're going to do. What's the most important thing? So it starts pumping blood towards your heart and your major organs, and your flight or fight system kicks in, and your bowels eliminate. That's why people crap themselves when they're scared, right? Because it's like, we do not need to be focusing on digestion right now. Let's get rid of all of that really, really quickly. Okay, so we can focus on protecting the major organs in our system. That's what's going on when you're anxious, man. That's why people get diarrhea when they're anxious, because it's the body's way of going, we don't want to be focusing on digestion, so just get rid of everything at once. And so once you've kind of eliminated everything and it's all gone, your body can focus on protecting organs, and that's why it is. Are you still there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. it's never a good thing. That makes sense because, also I find myself a lot of times doing the podcast and right before the show, I kind of get nervous and I'll be a little bit gassy and stuff. And even after all this time, it just does it to me. It's not bad. It's gotten way better with time, but, there is a little bit of being nervous and stuff pre-show, but oh man, how embarrassing is that?
That's not embarrassing. If you're anxious, right, and you are, because loads of people have got irritable bowel syndrome and IBS and all sorts of bowel things. It's the first thing that happens is the bowel if you're in any way anxious or upset. And they say that the bowel is the second brain because it has. Anyway, that's another thing. But if you are anxious socially, right, and you need to go out and you're like, oh my god, my guts are going to start playing up when I go out like mine do, right, just pop an Imodium. You know what an Imodium is? Just take one. Take an Imodium, and it will just slow everything down, right? And you won't have that urgency. You won't need to fart all the time. Trust me, it'll work. Okay. And if one doesn't work, just pop a couple of those bad boys.
Yeah, luckily I it's not all the time. Right now, it's because of the medicine, but specifically I just said it earlier, for my leg. Anyhow, it's the medicine I'm on right now. It's my, I've been having some really good bowel movements. And
you got the squiddly dits.
What's that?
Sorry, that's rhyming slang. Hold on. Is this like, yeah, hold on. Let me just, no, we're good. Not allowed to swear on here, are we? So squiddly dits is like rhyming. Like apple and pears is stairs. Right, so squiddly dits is what? Come on, Mike. It's the.
go ahead. It's all right. We can have one swear word or a couple more. No big deal.
Squiddy dits is when you got the shits.
Okay. Duh. How did I not catch that?
Yeah, which is diarrhea,
Squiddly.
So, yeah,
I'll have to remember that.
We call it the squiddly dits, man.
Squiddly dits.
How did this go from like mental health and metal detecting to the squiddly?
Well, I mean, other people they're gonna have to know that they're gonna have some bowel issues with the anxiety and stuff. I think we're still there. Take take toilet paper out with you or wipes, like Chris said. You really need to.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, I mean, how many people in the chat have been caught short when they've been out metal detecting? Man, I've been out there. I've been like in some situations. Luckily, we've already got a shovel. That's handy. Right. Luckily, we've got toilet paper to clean fines. I'm just putting that in like quotation marks. And baby wipes to clean fines as well. So it's kind of, we're already in a good situation, really.
I've been there more times than I would like to admit.
You've just admitted it, though, haven't you? So
yeah, I have sharted in the woods many a times. You know what? I think most people are scared to do that. I love pooping in the woods.
It's liberating.
It is.
I feel like a bet. It's like, I don't think that, we won't go into this in too much detail, but it's like, man, I feel like I connect with my ancestors. When I'm crapping in the woods.
Right. There's something really good about it. They're really, I'll tell you something funny. I have cousins in Ohio that still have an outhouse. Now they've had indoor plumbing forever. I mean, there's been indoor, but they never did for some reason. They bought their grandmother's house, and it still had a working outhouse that they keep clean and up in toilet paper. And when I go there, I love to go there when I got a poo, and I have never used a bathroom in their house. Because there's something about being, you're still outside. I mean, although it's an outhouse, and my dad, the house that I grew up in had an outhouse, and I used the outhouse while it was still going more than I used. I don't know. There's something great about that.
What? Wait, it's like is there a difference between an outhouse and pooping in the woods? I mean, like.
Well, an outhouse actually, is
it a toilet? Is it an outhouse?
An outhouse is like just all it is a little box over top of a hole in the ground, pretty much, and a seat. So there's a difference. But it's still open. I mean, there's a door, but I mean, it's still the same temperature as it is outside. You're listening to the critters and the squirrels and the, because if you're going to find one that's still there, it's probably in the country. Let's be realistic here. And you're going to listen to the crickets and everything. I don't know. There's something really peaceful about it, man. I'm telling you.
Brilliant. Yeah. I like to connect to nature while I'm having a poop as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many times I've come flying down their driveway and they're just like, "Oh, Mike's got to poop real bad," and I've never even seen the bathroom inside the house. To be honest, no kidding.
No.
I've always used their outhouse, and they use it. They actually, because they do a lot of stuff outside, and it's they're dirty or they've been mowing or working on a vehicle or something. Instead of going in the house and trekking in mud, and they'll just go to the outhouse.
Yeah. If I was to use that toilet, would I see your name scratched into the wall?
Probably somewhere when I was a kid. No, Grandma would have kicked my ass. So no, I doubt it. But I need to next time because they wouldn't kill me. Grandma would have killed. Grandma kept it up nice. I mean, it was clean. And the last time I used it, there were cobwebs and stuff. And I'm like, guys, you need to step it up. Grandma always kept it clean.
I think we had outhouses here only up until recently as well. I think we had outhouses in World War II, if I was just about to say if I remember rightly, but I'm not entirely sure I was there.
Oh my goodness! Dig you a hole in the ground, 8 foot deep. Build you a little wood structure with a seat over top of it, and just a little house, a little roof to keep you out of the rain and stuff. And I'm telling you, Chris, it'll change your life.
I mean, we could have cured anxiety and depression right here just with this conversation,
Pooping outside is an amazing thing.
Yeah, don't worry about antidepressants, guys. Just, let yourself go.
And even pooping in the woods for a fat guy like me, though, can be kind of I'm all bent down. You got to hang it out. You got to hang that butt out pretty good. You don't want to, you don't want to shit on your pants or anything. So it's kind of hard. And, I don't have quick bowel movements. So it's like I'm on my knees and I'm grunting. I'm like a bear. I'm more like Sasquatch. It's more like coming across. If you see me pooping in the woods, it's more like Sasquatch, coming across Sasquatch. I'm big and hairy, grunting.
Yeah, that's a vision.
Right.
Thanks for that one, man. I'm going to go to bed tonight.
I'll have to have somebody get a picture of it sometime. I'm sure it's quite hilarious.
Yeah, I think it probably is.
Quite hilarious to see. But yeah, there is really, I mean, no joking. Like if you've got anxiety and panic attacks and you're worried about getting out and you're having bowel issues, no, just take you some toilet paper, poop in the woods, and tell me it doesn't change your life. It's a wonderful thing. It really is. I mean, all joking aside, I love pooping in the woods.
Yeah. I think you've taken it a step too far now, man.
I think a little too far. I just had this conversation with a
I could
female.
just imagine Luke rocking backwards and forward on his chair right now.
Probably. Move it along, Mike. Move it along. Come on, Mike. You're talking about poop now. Come on. Yeah, I'm sure he is. I just had this conversation with a female detectorist. Actually, I've had this conversation with 2 female detectors who often find themselves pooping in the woods.
Second. Oh, okay, good. Mm-hmm. Pooping in. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I wonder where you was going with that one. I don't think I've ever had it with anybody else other than me. Really,
right.
I don't know. My mate Matt did it once. He needed, but yeah, he did it. That was quite recent, actually.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't seem to happen to anybody else other than me. See, I told you we were similar, didn't I?
Yeah, absolutely. I've spent a lot of time pooping in the woods, but I don't mind as long as I know somebody's not going to come walking up on me. I'm pretty okay with it.
So it's like a hobby away from a hobby.
Right. I pooped in that woods. I pooped in that woods. I've pooped over there. Mm-hmm.
You should mark it on Google so we can all see.
Oh my God, I should.
We can all get
Places
involved
Mike's
in your
pooped.
fantastically weird hobby, Mike. You just go, wow.
Right.
There you go. It's almost like I'm there with you, you know?
Oh my goodness, you were onto something. I might have to do that.
Oh,
How
God.
awesome would that be?
All right, okay, where are we going?
Let's
come back
reel
to our
it in
focus.
for Luke. I'll get a text from Luke any moment. Reel it in, Mike. Reel it
I
in.
haven't got. I'm good. You know, it's okay. Aaron's just said it happened to my buddy Mark. It fell down his trouser leg and into his welly.
Yeah, that's not. He's not pooping in the woods, right, Aaron? He
That's
needs.
he hasn't worked. He's got to work on his technique a little bit there, man. It's supposed to not go down your trouser leg and into your welly.
I
It's got to
pull
go in the woods, Aaron.
my pants go to my ankles. I hold my pants forward as I squat down and really hang your butt out. I'll tell you what, if you're a big guy and you can find a log, to kind of rest your butt on, that's a lifesaver. Hang it out over a log and give yourself a little bit of support. Then I'm good for even if it's going to be a long drawn out poop. I'm good.
A long session.
Yeah. Then I'll pull out the magazine. I literally keep a magazine with me when I'm out in the woods and stuff because I need something to read when I'm pooping.
Man, really?
Yeah,
See, this
really.
is the difference between America and Britain. See, Britain is so constricted now that the woods here are not vast enough for you not to be paranoid enough that someone is going to see you having a poop. So we have stealth poops. You know, we're like ninja poops. You get it over and done with as quickly as possible. But America is so vast and massive that, man, you could take your time with a poop.
Yeah, I mean, we're joking and stuff. I know we're joking a lot and stuff. But really, I think it is something that really everybody with PTSD and anxiety and panic attacks, I hope us making light of it, you understand it's okay. I've been, here's my thing. I've been walked up on in the woods while I'm taking a poo. And it's not a good feeling, but here's the thing. Everybody does it. Literally, everybody does it. I think everybody's afraid to talk about. Look, if don't let that stop you from going out metal detecting. I'll be really honest. When I first started using metal, I was metal detecting long before the anxiety and panic attacks, but it really hindered me for a while, and it was a concern because I would get out in public and I gotta use the restroom. I don't feel good. That's okay. Just everybody does it. Make the best of it. Do it. Laugh it off and move on.
Yeah, you can get really hung up on that stuff, man, and it's not good for you. I did for years because I was so damn paranoid. I didn't do anything with my life because of the Crohn's. If I had a massive flare up, I wouldn't go anywhere.
Right.
I was just so damn scared of something bad happening. And then now I'm older, I'm just like, yeah.
I know we're making jokes here, everybody,
Stuff,
but I want you to understand why. I mean, I want you to understand why we're doing it. We're not trying to gross anybody out or anything like that. I'm trying to make light of what used to be a really bad situation for me, and I just learned to be like everybody does it. If I get caught out, and hey, take a roll of toilet paper with me, and I'm good. Chris is absolutely right. You've got a shovel. You've got take some toilet paper and just do it. Don't let it stop you because it was a huge factor for me when my anxiety was bad. Like, oh my God, I don't want to get out somewhere and have to use the bathroom. And what do I do if I'm out in the middle of these? Well, the woods are. Hey, people have done it for thousands of years. It's okay.
See, these toilet things are they're a new thing.
They are.
Like you just said, like actually pooping in the forest is a correct way to poop, and in posture, that's like the kind of like pinnacle of pooping is in like in a forest situation. So who cares about them, man? These modern. I'm bin in my toilet tomorrow, and I'm just gonna poop in a hole, or at least in the bath.
Yeah.
Well, I just need to get back to nature. It just makes me feel liberated if I.
Right.
No, I'm not going to. I won't do that, no.
And you
But
know, Kimmy is making a really good point. We're sitting on a toilet is not the correct way. You're supposed to have your knees like up in your chest. And I mean, there's been studies that prove this, and you're going to do that in the woods. You know, so if you're nervous, you know, my anxiety's bad, I get out and you're going to have a great, if it happens, you're going to have a great bowel. You're going to have a better bowel movement than you do sitting on a toilet. Just don't let that stop you.
Oh, God. You can write a book about this, man.
Okay, Luke said half an hour's long enough. It's time to move it on.
Have we been talking about poo for half an hour?
Evidently we have, so yeah, it's time to,
that is crazy.
Move it on.
I've definitely got another hour in me about
another hour. Oh yeah, I could too. It doesn't affect me. I just I don't know. We all do it.
I'm joking. Come on, look. Move on to the next subject.
Yeah, it's time. It is definitely. Luke has made that perfectly clear. I need to move past that.
Yeah.
Well, what else? What else do you think? What else can we talk about mental health and metal detecting?
We can talk about the kind of the whole YouTube aspect of it as well. I think that sometimes there's other YouTubers that I speak to who are metal detectorists who enjoy the focus of making videos as well, to kind of like take their negative focus away and put it into a creative place. That's another interesting thing. I know a lot of YouTubers do that. I know, my mate Lucas, he does that. He just likes to make videos because he gets to just kind of like be creative and focus. And I know that it's the same instance as other people as well. So that's like metal detecting and YouTube. Oh man, you know what? I'm kind of just getting a bit. I don't know. I'm not getting bored about like YouTube, but it's. I don't know. It's strange at the moment, like YouTube and metal detecting.
Getting a little burned out.
I don't know if I'm getting a little. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But it's just like I just feel like at the moment it's more of a competition rather than everybody. It used to be like, hey, everybody's got their own kind of like unique personality, and we all did our own thing. And now it's kind of like, who finds the best stuff? It's all about finding stuff. You gotta find the stuff, man. I'm like having a discussion, live chat with a guy called the Man in the Hat next week, I believe, about this very topic. And my personal concern is, I think that in the next 5 years or so, that there's going to be a lot of metal detector YouTubers coming up that are just going to be pretending to find things because.
Oh, that's already happening. I mean,
I know
really is. That's already happening. There's, without a doubt. Chris, I got a suggestion. I'm sorry. I have a suggestion that I would like to see more of, because there are so many people out here doing these videos of look at my finds, here's my find, and that's cool. But who's really doing talks on metal detectors and about mental health and metal detecting? Why don't you keep, I'm not saying don't do any of those, but I would love to see you concentrate on that. More metal detector talk. How are those videos doing?
Do you mean the metal detectors in the products?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was going to move away from them because I feel that we are being sold a bit of a lie in some ways, and that is that I feel that all modern metal detectors are perfectly good at finding the items that we're looking for. And I think that we don't consider the luck factor as much as we should concerning metal detecting. I think that luck is way up there. It's in 90%. And I feel that we get way too concerned about products. I feel personally, I think that the luck factor and your technique and your research is a million times more important than the metal detector that you use. So I've come to a situation where I'm now like, do you know what? All these machines are good. I could overthink this. I could be buying the marketing lie that this machine is going to do better than this machine. It means nothing unless you walk over it. And I've come to a point where I'm just like, they're all bloody good. There's nothing which is, there's been no massive kind of huge advances in metal detecting.
No, I don't. There are some great new detectors out in there, but if you look back over the years, I can point to stuff that's 20 years old that'll hang with the newest, latest, and greatest detectors. And I didn't really necessarily mean that. What I meant more is, and that's fine if you did that, but those two, I think those could be included, but, here's how I set up this detector, and here's how I run it, and here's why I run it this way. Here's, kind of like the ins and outs, and things that bother you in the hobby, things that are good about the hobby, things, the mental health thing was amazing. I think that there's still a whole vast, everybody is concentrated on, look at my finds, here's what we found, here's us metal detecting. And I think it's saturated with that. But how many people are doing real world, okay, here's how I set this detector up, and here's why, and here's how I use it, here's what I listen for. I'm not seeing a lot of stuff like that. And, it's something I've thought about getting into because I do not video when I'm out metal detecting, and here's why. For me, it's the getting away, putting the headphones on, concentrate. That's the break I need for my mental health. If I have to stop and take videos, if I'm out with somebody else, I will get to the point like, hey, show me all your finds at the end. Unless it's something amazing, just hold off till the end. I get in my groove. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I get my relaxation. I have no desire to do videos while I'm out detecting, but really, who's doing videos showing how these detectors work in and out and what you want to listen for and how you want to set them up for different situations? I'm seeing some air testing videos, a lot of those, which really don't do any good. I don't believe in air testing the way that it's often portrayed. Talking about different aspects of the hobby, I think you would be fantastic at that. As I've thought about videos I want to do, I've thought about, wow, Chris would be so good at this. I love, my favorite part, Chris, I have such little time to watch videos and stuff. I rarely catch your hunts. Where I love the best is when you're sitting in your vehicle and you're just talking.
Oh, okay.
Personally, that's personally. I have watched some of what you're digging and stuff like that, but, everybody's doing that. I want to hear what you have to say. I love when you sit and talk about, okay, I was out with this detector today, and here's my experience, here's what that's what I want to hear. I don't care to watch you dig. I don't mean that rude. I've just... I don't have the time. If I had more time, I'd watch them all the way through.
The problem is on YouTube is that you're trying to kind of please a massive diversive sector.
Right.
So
right.
In essence, that's what you want to see, but there's a lot of people that just want to see digging and don't want me to talk. And then there's other people that just want me to talk. But there's other people who want to talk about my finds. And then there's other people that just want me to talk about the equipment I use. So
there's no winning. There's no winning. Really.
You are damned if you do, and you are damned if you don't.
Yes.
In making YouTube videos, the one thing you should always do is just focus on what you want to do.
Yes.
Otherwise, you honestly, if you go down a route of trying to kind of appease people, then you're just going to annoy other people. You're completely screwed. That's unfortunately the kind of beast that is that is YouTube. But just going back to what you said about 20-year machines, we've got a field which is local to me. We have one friend with a 3030. We have another friend with a Deus. I using an 800. My friend Matt was using a G-Max Power. I believe that Jack's using a 6MX. Luke's using a Safari. We hit this area one day. We're finding hammered coins. Hit this area another day. Hammered coins beginning to disappear slightly. Hit it the next day. No hammered coins. Next day, no hammered coins. I use an R1 from 1999, which goes down about 5 or 6 inches, a C-scope R1. I go back, I find a hammered coin. The next day I go back, I find a hammered coin. Because I walked over the place where the other guys didn't walk. You know, the 3030 would have found it, the Safari would have found it, the Deus would have found it. Just that I walked over that particular point that the other guys didn't walk over. So just coming back to the whole kind of like luck factor again. You know, this is 1999. I found 2 hammered coins. What's that about? It's ridiculous.
Well,
and I think
there is luck, but there is skill involved too. I think more people rely on luck more than they should, because you know if you got to add some skill to it, you got to know where to walk. You got to know to grid. You got to know how to grid. You got to know what coil is right for the area, what detector's right for the area. You know, there's so many factors that play into that that you're doing that you probably have been you've been metal detecting long enough you don't even think about those things. But those aren't luck. Those are actually, you know, that skill that's telling you, okay, I'm going to switch to this detector because it's more suited for this field, or this coil because there's so much trash, or, you know, I need to go to a bigger coil. I'm not hitting anything shallow, so I need to get more depth, and here's my deeper detector. I mean,
that's true. That is true. And that, you know, you're kind of like looking at it from an academic and scientific point almost. You know, you're being more thorough with it. And I completely agree that the metal detectors, the modern metal detectors, have way more scope, options, and versatility that we can apply to our you know, overall hunts and techniques. But also we have to factor in metal detecting where metal detectors were just going down a couple of inches from the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
And you know, I mean, those guys did very well. It feels like we're almost chasing ourselves now. It's like how deep is going to be deep enough? You know, these finds are finite. They are going to eventually all disappear. They're going to be become less and less. So metal detectors keep up with that.
Chris, they are less and less, which is going to drive people. You know, the people who are going to do good are still going to do the research. They're going to know. I mean, look, I can go to a house. I've done this many times, went and knocked on a door. Yeah, you can hunt here, but, you know, we've had other people metal detect it. You have to, if you want to be successful, you have to be better than those other people. You have to know your detector, your equipment, your detectors, what kind of, you know, what coil you want to, you know, I couldn't tell you how many times I've heard that and went and had some of my most successful hunts. Just because somebody else hunted it, you know, doesn't mean anything. And when you're talking thousands of acres and hundreds of acres, my goodness, nobody covers that whole field. You know what I mean? You're not covering it all. I mean, it would take you a lifetime to thoroughly detect that. I mean, so there's always going to be more out there and more to be found. You know, and we all have luck. You know, you talk about luck. I sell detectors. I did it for myself for 10 years or 8 years. And I would take these people new or newer to the hobby out detecting when they bought a detector from me. And you always kick their butt because you can only have so much luck. I mean, it's, you know, it's the guy like me that knows what detector to use, what coil I want to use, what, you know, what the mineralization's like and what's going to be, you know, luck only gets you so far. You know what I mean?
See, I would argue that the other stuff that you mentioned there only gets you so far.
True, very true. You got to walk over it. You got to, but you also got to know what to. They both are very important.
But also, I mean, research. people talk about the importance of research, just throw that out the bloody window. I've been to sites that are just so. This site is going to have everything. It's had this Viking settlement on it. It's had a Roman settlement on it. It's had a medieval settlement. We have a road right here that goes right through the middle of it. It's got a Bronze Age burial pit over there, you know. And you go, this field is going to have everything, and it has nothing. All metal detectors will know that. And then in the same instance, you'll go to a field where you do your research, and there's nothing on this field. You're like, this is useless. There's no roads near it. There's no obvious landmarks. There's no buildings. It's in the middle of nowhere. And then you'll go find something absolutely brilliant. You know, it's a...
Hey, Chris, welcome to metal detecting.
I know, exactly. But my point is that sometimes I feel like we can overthink things a little too much, is my point. And sometimes I think you just need to kind of like, you know, let it all go to the wind and just take your chances on that particular day. And obviously, modern metal detectors, with the depth and the separation and you know, and the target separation and reaction times and everything else that we have are way more superior to what we had, you know, years and years ago. And they're getting stronger and stronger and better at that. But I still feel that luck is, you know, a big factor, and also like the statistical nuance, which is how deep finds actually are and where finds are actually found within the strata. So anything which is away from a hoard, where your typical find would be found within the strata of the levels of mud. Most stuff is near the surface anyway, or it's a few inches down. So I just feel like we could overthink it ever so slightly, and I just also feel like there needs to be just a massive kind of new something in metal detecting technology-wise, which just comes along. And I feel like we're probably close to it. I know that like Nocta and Macro, what they're doing with the Averia, I know that you disagree with that. I think we had a discussion. I think you said, like, I think it might have been you, Mike. I'm not entirely sure, but you wouldn't like actually physically seeing the finds. You think it would take the magic away from the actual kind of like hunt almost. Not, and I do agree with that as well. But I just feel like technology will soon move to a more. It's difficult as well, isn't it? Because then the problem is if technology does get better and it makes finding stuff, let's call finding stuff, easier and more efficient, then that does take the magic away from it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. On one hand, yes. On the other hand, I have sites I'd like to look into the ground. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's sites here in this. I mean, especially where I am in the southeast of England, where I live where the Romans first landed. You know, the Vikings and everything is here, and there's been so many hoards found here. There's definitely sites I would like to go back over with something like the Averio and check. I mean, there's a field which is about 7 miles away from me. It's had 5 or 6 hoards on it. This field, it's ridiculous.
Goodness.
And this is with your typical generic metal detector. This is your bog standard, what we've got available to us now. And I think that if you were to go over something like that with the Averia, you're absolutely going to find more. And that, I think in that instance, it's important, but it depends what you want out of metal detecting as well, doesn't it?
Hold on, I got a suggestion for you. Here is where I think the Rudis for you guys could do amazing things. I haven't used it here yet in the United States. There are a couple places I do want to use it. Unfortunately, not in the state I'm in, but the Rudis has the mixed mode, which is all metal plus your dish channel at the same time. And that is absolutely amazing. I've heard some great stories from over there and stuff. Unfortunately, you wouldn't want to use it somewhere where there's heavy iron and that kind of stuff. But if you're in a field where you're not just finding tons of trash and iron, try that mixed mode. Listen for that sound, that tone from the all metal mode channel that you're not picking up on the disc channel. And it's going to be something really deep.
I think the modes that I've tried on it so far, I haven't tried that. But I've done basic, coin, fast, and as I spoke to you before we started the podcast, I was just moving to ultra fast before I did my conclusion. But yeah, going to all metal mode, but it's not literally all metal, is it? It's still discriminating iron, isn't it?
Not in all metal mode, not in the dual mode on the Rudis.
Right. Okay.
What you're doing is you're running all metal mode and disc at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And you're going to get, what you're going to do is you're going to get more depth.
I tell you what, man. Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, because you're going to be losing discrimination.
I talked to oh geez, I forgot his name. What's the owner's name? Oh my goodness, I just had it. What? Luke, what's oh, I think it's Eric. Eric was telling me a story about one of his friends was on an archaeological dig in Poland and had the Rudis, and he was in mixed mode, and he got a signal. Nobody else, none of the other detectors could pick it up, but he was only getting it in the all metal mode, and it ended up being something very important to the archaeologist. And it was beyond the ability of all of the regular detectors and the disc mode on the Rudis. So I think if you have a field where you're not running into a ton of iron and junk, I would highly suggest getting familiar with that mix mode.
I think that the Rutus, the Alta 71, the experience I've had with it so far, I mean, what we're in July, nearly August. I actually think it could be my metal detector of 2019 for me personally. Mm-hmm. And if it's not, it'll be between the 800s and that. I think it's really sad that a machine that is so cheap as well, don't forget, doesn't really, it's not really getting the coverage that it should. It's a really bloody good machine. It really, really is a good machine. And it's a really good and integral company that are behind it as well. I feel really quite sad about it as well, and it annoys me because your Mind Labs and your XPs are going to get the most coverage because they're the ones with the most marketing power, and they make damn good machines as well. We have to put that into the equation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, they do.
Rutus keeps up. It keeps up, but they don't have marketing and branding power that the giants have. So people kind of think, "Oh, I'll dismiss that because it's just." We're so kind of like psychologically manipulated when it comes to advertising sometimes. Right. You know how it is, man. You know how it is.
And there's a lot of detectors I like out there. It is hard to find somebody that doesn't like one of the Equinox. I just hear good things about it so much. I love the Amphibio now. Me and the Amphibio got off on a bad foot. I love that detector now. It took me some getting used to it. My first one, there was some issues with it that was corrected, and then it was like, oh wow. That is a deep, fast, easy detector. Just gets the job done for me. Matter of fact,
quality as well, man, on the Amphibio is just phenomenal.
And
it is a beautiful thing. It really is.
The ORX that come out, and I am hearing amazing things. I have close friends that have it and love it. But you're right. The Rudis is such an underdog. They don't have all this, this advertising. I think people are easily overlooked. I mean, I love Nocta Macro, and I will stand behind. In my opinion, they're the most innovative company out there. I stand behind that. But I've told Delic I love the Rudis. I mean, I'm very true to who I am and what I say, and that Rudis is a brilliant metal detector. And I'll tell you one of the reasons I like to get the word out and tell people is because I want to, what's next? If they grow and they get popular, what's next out of them? What is Eric capable of? Because that 71 is just brilliant. And I want to see what's going to come next out of them, because I think that 71 is just incredible. And I've talked to Delic. I go back between my 71 and the Amphibio because I do enjoy that detector so much. It is lightning fast, deep, but and it's right out of the box. It checks off all the marks for me. But then I can go in and I can adjust my tones to whatever I want. And like Luke ran into a problem with Hot Rocks and Hot Rocks and what's the other one that we sometimes run into? Coke. And he was able to adjust it out and run it successfully in that field. And it's just, I can't say enough about it. But I will say the Amphibio, I'll tell you what what bothers me with the Amphibio is this. It is a brilliant design. It is so comfortable. I have a bad shoulder, and it is on the heavier side. Now, it's very well balanced. Don't get me wrong, but if I'm in tall grass or something, I usually don't take the Amphibio because of the sheer weight. I mean, that is what hinders it the most for me personally.
That machine, man. People are funny on YouTube. They really, really are. I'd done my videos on the Amphibio, and I'd said it's great. I found a nice little Dutch hammered, and I've done quite well out of it. Then I had a bad time with the beach mode, and I made it very clear. I said that this is a brilliant machine, but I just don't feel the beach mode is as strong as it could be. And somehow people take from that he hates the Amphibio.
Right.
But no. I've said throughout that I think it's a really, really good machine. I think it's a brilliant machine. I just really did enjoy it, and I really did enjoy the build quality. Lucas has my Amphibio now. Actually, he has that Amphibio, and he's doing really, really well out of it. I just didn't feel that the beach mode was as strong, and the reason I did it all the time.
I hear that quite often. I don't think it's good for salt. I don't think it's the best out there for saltwater, but that's okay. I mean, and that's good of you to say that. You should stay true to what you believe and what you found.
Yeah, of course. But I felt that the lands, it was really, really good. It was very, very good. I had a really good time with that machine. But what happened was I couldn't. People say, why don't you use that particular machine more? It's because people keep on lobbing me machines to use because my channel's just going from bloody power to power at the moment. The subscribers are ridiculous, and for some reason, because I haven't uploaded for bloody ages. But then they give you the MindLab 800, and you're like, okay, I've got to use that for a bit. And then I'm using the Rutus, and I'm trying to and then they say, well, what machine would you just use if you only had one machine to use? And that's nearly an impossible question to answer, almost, because each one has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Yes,
there's not one machine which has everything.
Right. I see. I agree. Yeah, like I couldn't pick one detector. Just like, the 6MXI. I love that detector. That thing is deadly. I don't want to take that where there's a lot of modern trash. It's just not it wouldn't be my first choice. But give me an iron infested site and I will go in there with that 6MXI. I'll turn my iron no disc, iron volume just so I can hear it, and I will go in there and clean up on what most detectors won't pick up in that heavy iron, even the latest and greatest.
So quick.
Really, for everything else, I go back and forth between the Amphibio and the Rudis, and someday if I'm in I don't know. Sometimes I pick up that Amphibio, and it's probably more than any other detector I've ever used. It feels like just an extension of my arm. And I've had days where, I've struggled even with the Rudis. Not that the Rudis isn't getting it done, and that Amphibio will just nail coins out of the heaviest trash, and it latches on in such a way that I've really become really good friends with that detector. But that Rudis, man, it's just, I can't even I don't even know if I can properly explain how much I love that detector and how much respect I have for Eric and them and what they're doing with that detector. Because, as much as I love it, I haven't gotten into everything. There's so much, that detector not only, right out of the box does it offer so much at such a crazy low price. You can do more with that than most detectors. You can modify that for different situations, for your hearing, for your swing style, everything. You can pull right out of the box and go out and learn it, and it's a very easy to learn detector. But if you're like me and you want the most out of your detector, that detector you can set it up for just about any kind of situation you'd ever run into.
It's a really serious machine. It's serious with the amount of options, as you said. You can go into like the tones, and you can just. The options within the tones alone is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
and it's so potent. But I just love the identification screen as well. It's so efficient. Those nice straight lines. Those like kind of like really sporadic lines from iron all the way up to like foil to gold to silver, and it's always spot on. Well, actually, the only thing that I find is slightly. So, say that you've got like the gold line and you've got the silver line, right? And you've got the silver line, and say that it's a perfect line down silver. Typically, that will be a tin can head. Which just mimics a big silver coin, which is quite frustrating. But it's doing what it's telling you the right thing. You just kind of like need to work that out with your own brain. And the other thing is, lead kind of hits in between. If it's a good shaped piece of lead, it will just come in between gold and silver. It'll come in around about there. But apart from that, everything else is. Well, where else is lead going to come on that? It says iron, foil, gold, and silver, so it's got to come somewhere, isn't it? But it's just so efficient. It's so efficient. It really, really is. As to telling you what's beneath the coil.
Right. It is where I kind of go back and forth between the Rudis and the Amphibio. The Rudis, I seem to sometimes when I get in heavy trash and stuff, it's like blah, 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 blah. It'll kind of start giving me too much, and I got to tone it down, which you can do with that detector, which is great. And it's deep, but man, that Amphibio is deep. They both really, to me, they're real close. For me personally, it's like, if you made me pick, probably the Amphibio because it's waterproof. I do think that's a big advantage now.
That's the issue. isn't it?
They are working on a waterproof. From my understanding, Rudis is working on a waterproof telescopic shaft design.
That's interesting.
Yes, that is very interesting. So
before we go, do you want to quickly talk about the new Minelab machine?
Yeah, we sure can. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you know about the Vanquish?
I don't know anything. I know a lot of people are mad that they're making fun of Garrett's, but the video I seen, I didn't really think they were making fun of it.
Oh, I didn't see any videos. No, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because you've got the 800, you've got the 3030, right? So say that's the pinnacle of Minelab's everything. And then you have the the 800, which sits, or the 600, which sits just beneath, where it kind of like fits in that hole where the E-track and everything else was around about there. But it definitely sits beneath the 3030. We could say that. So people are saying, well, the Vanquish. Well, what's the point of the Vanquish being such a good machine if the 3030 is there and the 800 is there? All you're doing is pricing yourself out of people buying the 800 or 600. Or, alternatively, it's a completely beginner's machine for complete beginners, which goes up against the Simplex, has all of the power that a good beginner's machine. So they're taking over the beginner's market, because the Go Find people are not really that interested in it anymore. So therefore, Noctua and Macro are doing the whole kind of like Simplex thing. Garrett have the beginner's market in their pockets. So perhaps the Minelab Vanquish will be aimed at.
Yeah, I think Garrett will be quickly knocked out, and I think it'll be a competition between Noctua Macro and excuse me, the Minelab Vanquish. I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen anything on it other than that video that people.
I'm just speculating. Yeah.
People here are up in arms. They're mad that they're messing with Garrett, and I didn't see where they were saying. Well, the hat was the same colors as Garrett, and the tones on it were the same color as Garrett and stuff. And I don't know. That's what I've heard the most. I think doing that and whether it was intentional or not, that's not off on a good foot. But that's just I didn't see it again. But it is making people here very upset. The Simplex, I have never been excited about an entry level detector, and I want to get my hands on that so bad. That double D coil, that straight shaft, lightweight. I have such high hopes for that. I feel like this is just my opinion, and this, there's so many things I say on the show. I should probably keep my mouth shut. I've never understood Garrett being at the top of the entry-level detectors. I mean no disrespect. I love the AT series. Love them. Think they're brilliant and affordable. The AT Pro is a legend. It'll be a legend forever for me. I think it changed the face of the hobby, but that ding, 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 oh my God, wrap it around a tree for me. I've thought that the Technetics and Fishers in the same price range as the A series was much better entry-level detectors. But what I'm seeing of this, I just don't know enough about the Vanquish at all. But with the Simplex, wow. Waterproof, wireless capabilities, big double D coil, beach mode, relic. I mean, what more could you possibly ask for in the entry level range?
Yeah, it sounds like such an exciting machine, and not only that, it's Noctua Macro have been around like long enough now, and they've kind of, they've gone through a few models, and on the whole, their catalogue is really, really potent. They make good metal detectors. And the most interesting thing for me is that they've kind of evolved, and they're taking the knowledge and they're learning from whatever mistakes they feel they made. The people have said, and they take it on board, and I think that the Simplex could literally be the perfect beginner's machine if people don't kind of lean on Vanquish, because I'm convinced Vanquish will be this machine. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a battle. For my own reasons, I have the one that I hope, comes out ahead, but that's just me. MindLab has such a huge following and stuff, but I don't know. We won't get into all that, but I don't know. Personally, I'm excited for the Simplex. I can't wait to get my hands on one and try one of those and see what it can do. I think
it'd be good. That's the thing. Like Nocturne Macro have evolved to this point, but that metal detector is going to be a good metal detector. Mm-hmm. And Dilek, she's so kind of how do I word this right? She's so I'll use the word. She's so proud of that company, mm-hmm. and it's personal to her, and there's a big difference between somebody who believes in their product or who is there for the paycheck. There's a big difference between somebody who believes in the hobby that she is kind of promoting, mm-hmm. and somebody because it's just they're an engineer and it's just their job. So I think that because of that, it's going to be a damn good product when it comes out.
The other night, the other night she called me. It would have been after 10 o'clock her time. Do you want to know how many people in her position with the manufacturers would do that?
Well, there you go. That's it, isn't it?
And do you know how many call me up? 0 during hours. She is the hardest working person in the world when it comes to metal detector manufacturers, in my personal opinion. And you're right, she's very proud and she's very hardworking, and that has
to be celebrated, doesn't it? I think that type of attitude in any kind of industry, every now and again you get a maverick, you get someone that's doing things from the heart, rather than from the the pocket, and that type of thing should be celebrated. It really should. Sorry, Mike, I butted in there, buddy.
No, that's okay. I agree completely, and I'll tell you one thing I've talked to her about. That's kind of a little disappointing to me. They did away. I have been hearing amazing things about the Force Relic, and they no longer, they're not even carrying it anymore.
I don't even know that.
And I want a Force Relic so bad. I talked to a guy that has he's got a Deus, loves his Deus, very, very skilled Deus user. And he met up with a guy with a Force Relic, and he's like, man, I couldn't believe the stuff I was picking out over a site I just walked through with my Deus. And he's like, I love that detector, and I wanted to get my hands on one, and here they're discontinued. But I'm trying to talk her into, I really like analog detectors for certain situations, and I'm really trying to talk her into coming out with a good analog detector.
I'd be surprised if she does.
Yeah, me too. They're very cutting edge more than than analog.
Well, I mean, backwards is the wrong word to use. Sorry, mate. But there's so much that these new technologies can do now, which mimics that. But it depends what you want, doesn't it? If you want analog, go back to C-scope.
I love the C-scope. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard for me to tell somebody here in the United States what you want as a C-scope that they have to order from overseas. People are very leery of that, warranty issues and stuff like that. That's the problem here. No, if you're in the UK, I highly recommend like the 6MXI. I will personally tell you it's the greatest. It's the greatest analog detector I've used to this point.
It's the machine I've found most things with. My best items have been found at a machine. with that machine. And but again, it's the machine that I've used most, so that's not really fair. You know, if I was to use like something like the Amphibios consistently as I did the 6MX, I'm sure that the fines would be as good. And same with any other machine. Again, it comes back. I don't think there's any really bad machines on the market at the moment.
No, you're right. It's you know, if you're in the market for a detector, you know, best bang for your buck. Every manufacturer out there, I think, makes a great detector. Some of them better than others. But you know, going back, you know, I hate to say this, the Rutus, the money you're going to spend on that versus what you get is phenomenal.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You kind of said that pre-show. You know, you said there's some really great detectors, and but you know, dollar for dollar.
Yeah,
the Rutus is definitely at the top. It's a great detector. Chris, we need to wrap this up. Steph is off to work, and I got to go deal with a little demon nugget.
Be great to talk about poo.
And I'll tell you something else. I just found out I got another detector waiting for me. I got to hurry up and get out to it because Steph said she's tired of all the tripping over detectors. She's going to go pawn it.
What is it?
It's an old one. It's a friend sent me a treasure baron, which they're so hard to find.
Yeah, pawn that, Steph.
What's that?
I said pawn it.
Right, she better
I'm
not.
joking.
There'll be
I'm
fist
joking.
fighting. Her and I'll be fist fighting. She'll beat me up, but I'll still have to try. You know, if she goes pawns it. But so I'm so excited to go check that out, and I got to get to my little demon nugget anyhow. Chris, as always, it was wonderful having you on.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, sir, and we'll do it again.
Absolutely. I shall speak to you soon, old chap.
Absolutely. Keep in touch, and we'll talk soon.
No worries. Bye, buddy.
Good night.